All-pervasive, an essential subject from Vinipedia. The all-pervasive feature of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, means that everything is a manifestation of his energy. Nothing can exist without him. He is omniscient, omnipresent, all-pervasive, all-powerful, the cause of all causes, the absolute truth, and the reservoir of all pleasure and knowledge. Srila Prabhupada's books, lectures, conversations and letters offer a comprehensive presentation of this essential subject as seen in the Vinicote's all-pervasive category. An introduction from his books is given below in the following 11 quotes. Quotes from Srila Prabhupada's books. Only the devotees know perfectly that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, VU, is all-pervading. Within the material energy, he is represented by the 5 material elements as well as the mind, intelligence and ego. He is also represented by another energy, the living entities, and all these manifestations in the spiritual and material world combined are but representations of the different energies of the Lord. The conclusion is that the Lord is one and that he is expanded in everything. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.24, 62. The appearance and disappearance of the Lord are similar to the appearance and disappearance of the sun. The sun is first seen on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the sun is the sun of that side. The sun is fixed in its own orbit, and it neither rises nor sets. But because we first see it on the eastern horizon, we may say that the sun rises on that side. Similarly, the appearance of Godhead in some particular family does not mean that he is limited by obligations to that family. He is fully independent and may appear and disappear anywhere and everywhere, because he is all-pervading. Light of the Bhagavata, Chapter 41. The Lord is all-pervading. As it is stated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, everything is sustained by me, but at the same time I am not in everything. Since the Lord is all-pervading, there is nothing existing without his knowledge. The all-pervasive nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never be within the limited knowledge of a living entity. Therefore, a person who has attained steadiness of the mind by fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord is able to understand the Supreme Lord to some extent. Krishna Book, Chapter 14. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahmajyotra effulgence and as the all-pervading supersoul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. Bhagavad Gita 4.11. The Supreme Lord, by his 2 energies, his external energy and internal energy, is all-pervading. Therefore one should worship the Supreme Lord with his energies. Generally the Vaishnava devotees worship the Supreme Lord with his internal energy. His external energy is a perverted reflection of the internal energy. The external energy is a background, but the Supreme Lord by the expansion of his plenary portion as Paramtm is situated everywhere. He is the supersoul of all demigods, all human beings, all animals, everywhere. Bhagavad Gita 18.46. Although the Lord has his particular abode in which to reside, he is all-pervasive. The impersonalists accept one aspect of the Lord's features, the all-pervasive aspect, but they cannot understand his localized situation in his transcendental abode, where he always engages in fully transcendental pastimes. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.19. 31. The Lord is all-pervading, all-powerful, omniscient and omnipresent. He is the ultimate sanctioning agent of all good or bad effects. We should, therefore, learn to dedicate our activities unto the mercy of the Lord and accept him either as impersonal Brahman, localized Paramtm or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It does not matter what one is. One must dedicate everything in the service of the Lord. If one is a learned scholar, scientist, philosopher, poet, etc., then he should employ his learning to establish the supremacy of the Lord. Try to study the energy of the Lord in every sphere of life. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5. 32. For material creation, Lord Krishna's plenary expansion assumes 3 viyas. The first one, Mahaviyu, creates the total material energy, known as the Mahatattva. The second, Garbhodaka Viyu, enters into all the universes to create diversities in each of them. The third, Kairodaka Viyu, is diffused as the all-pervading supersoul in all the universes and is known as Paramtm. He is present even within the atoms. Anyone who knows these 3 viyas can be liberated from material entanglement. Bhagavad Gita 7.4. The word COVID is very significant, for it indicates the devotees of the Lord. Only the devotees know perfectly that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, VU, is all-pervading. Within the material energy, he is represented by the 5 material elements as well as the mind, intelligence and ego. He is also represented by another energy, the living entities, and all these manifestations in the spiritual and material world combined are but representations of the different energies of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.24 62. The transcendental service of the Lord is itself a transcendental benefit for the devotee, and therefore the devotee has nothing to expect from the Lord. On the assertion of the Vedic aphorism Sarvakavita Brahma, we can understand that the Lord, by the omnipresent rays of his effulgence, called Brahma Jyotir, is all-pervading inside or outside of everything, like the omnipresent material sky, and thus he is also omniscient. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.16 2630. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence and knowledge and whatever else a person may have, and through all these agencies he has understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him there is no doubt, yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all-pervading nature. People in general and the impersonalists in particular concern themselves mainly with the all-pervading nature of the Supreme. So Arjuna is asking Krishna how he exists in his all-pervading aspect through his different energies. Bhagavad Gita 10.16